We are The Meltdown, here with yet another retro trailer reaction. This series looking to reintroduce and put the spotlight on some notable movies from previous years. All of the choices featured within this series have been hand-selected by our Meltdown crew. Some of these selections include some of us completing first-time watches, and some include those timeless classics that we may have seen numerous times. Join us throughout all of Season 1 for a look at the retro trailers and the discussions that follow. Today's entry is 1990's Quick Change, starring Bill Murray, Gina Davis, and Randy Quaid, and it is directed by the team of Howard Franklin and Bill Murray, as it is the only directorial credit in Bill Murray's career. In a 2015 interview with Entertainment Weekly, co-director Howard Franklin was asked if he was surprised at all that Bill Murray never directed again. He said, quote, "Everything about Bill and nothing about Bill surprises me. I don't think anybody really knows why he decides to do what he's going to do, including himself probably, until the 11th hour. It may just be that directing requires too much lead time. I'm sure you've heard the stories of people looking at their watches 10 minutes before he's supposed to show up to do a movie, and he hasn't really called the production office to get airplane tickets or whatever, and quote, I don't think he's coming. And then he strolls up and says, okay, where do you want me to stand? He's very spontaneous, and there's really nothing spontaneous about directing. So much of it is prep. I think it's really a commitment issue, probably. So with that, let me introduce our panel. I am Meltdown host Tim Melton. That is my co-host, Mr. John Lunsford.
This is a movie I never heard of.
We also have our producer, Tyler Johns, back there in the corner.
I have also never heard of this movie.
And finally, we introduce you to our beloved Meltdown contributor, Rockstar, who you see daily on The Next Round.
I need to buy new shoes.
Rockstar, this film was your selection. Why did you pick 1990's Quick Change, starring Bill Murray, Gina Davis, and Randy Quaid?
Because I knew that I knew that I had a great feeling that none of you have seen it.
That is correct.
Which is, or not only that, not even heard of it.
That is also correct.
Which is crazy to me, which is sad for Bill Murray to be your directorial debut. And I just remember back, the reason I picked it is one of those movies where you had the TV guide. Came out when I was 9 years old. The TV guide, and there's two movies that I looked forward to. Cyborg with Van Damme, I don't know why. And Quick Change. And I remember looking in the TV guide and like all HBO or Cinemax like that. So that's Quick Change, 2 a.m. on Saturday night. And I would stay up and watch Quick Change. It's just a movie. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I love this movie. I cannot wait to hear y'all's reaction, but that is why I chose Quick Change. Without any further hesitation, John, let's now go ahead and see the retro trailer for Quick Change.
Let's make a commitment. Let's not be like every other couple on the IRT. Will you rob a bank with me?
I will, Grim. I will.
Hey! I got 3 more minutes.
We're closed, bozo.
Let's not mess with me today.
What the hell kind of clown are you?
The crying on the inside kind, I guess. Fill this up with regular, please.
This is our perpetrator.
Average height, average build, red nose, and blue hair.
It was the perfect crime. Now, all they need to do is get to the airport.
Did we miss the expressway?
Getting farther away every second.
By car.
Oh, we're really making progress now.
I saw a sign, Phyllis.
3 of them out there shouting with glee.
By cab.
Airport. Look.
Huh?
Great. And why don't you take us straight to Sing Sing?
There's a real camera. Stop! Taxi!
By foot. By bus.
Do you go to the airport?
Near the airport. That is an exact change.
You better get some help. You're becoming Ralph Cramden's evil twin.
By midnight. Bill Murray.
All right, can we just calm down a little, please?
Gina Davis.
Oh, we'll never make the flight. We'll have to sail a raft to Fiji like Thor Heyerdahl.
Please, God!
Randy Quaid.
We need a cab! One loaded freaking cab!
Jason Robards.
So easy getting in. No way out.
In a major metropolitan comedy. Quick Change.
Was that our plane?
No. If it were our plane, it'd be crashing.
God, I hate this town.
There's the trailer. From this point on, we'll be including spoilers for Quick Change in our discussion points, so if you'd like to watch the movie first and come back to us, feel free to pause this video now. As we saw in parts of the trailer, with the aid of his girlfriend and best friend, Grim enters a Manhattan bank dressed as a clown, creates a hostage situation, and executes a flawless robbery. The only thing left for the trio to do is to make their getaway out of the city and to the airport. It sounds simple enough, but it seems that fate deserts them immediately after the bank heist. One mishap after another conspires to keep these robbers from reaching freedom. So, John, what is your take on Quick Change?
Well, first off, that trailer, which I pulled from Rotten Tomatoes, they put like old trailers out, pretty much gave you the entire movie in that trailer. Went from the beginning with the bank robbery until the end when they're at the airport. This is a movie that exists.
Okay.
Somehow.
That's a strong start. That's always a strong start. That's called John trying not to be hostile about something.
You think I'm not going to have my feelings hurt?
I went into it and I'm watching it and I thought, hey, this is starting to be like Terrifier. And my wife is like, no, it's starting to be like The Dark Knight. And I think both of those things are kind of true. And then I think the idea of this movie is okay, that I could see a movie like this being made where it's kind of one continuous story over the course of a day, essentially. But I mean, there's not much I can say about this movie.
I need you to say more, though.
I don't really know.
Give me some meat. You've given me nothing.
I don't know why this movie exists. Was this created for Bill Murray to have something to direct? Did he like? I mean, I know Howard Franklin did it with him, and Howard Franklin's the one that wrote it. But I mean, it's almost like, hey, we're gonna give you an easy one for your first one. Like you can star in it, you can just direct it however you want.
The story is that this is based on a book. I don't know what the book was called, and Bill Murray became obsessed with it. Had a script, and originally approached Ron Howard, and Ron Howard looked at it, and then he said he got back to him and said, "I don't want to do this because if you look, he's like, there's no one. Who am I pulling for? There's nobody to pull for in this film." And it really pissed Bill Murray off. And he, in an interview, he said, like, I'm never going to work with Ron Howard ever because of him turning it down. So he thought it was such a great, look, I'll direct it. This is such a great movie, great idea, I'm going to direct it. So that's how that birthed. And it does exist. Until last Friday, you had no idea it existed.
It's just like you look through his filmography and it's like Caddyshack, Stripes, Ghostbusters, Little Shop of Horrors, Scrooge, Ghostbusters 2, and then Quick Change. He hits the 90s and you have Quick Change. And it's like,
did you throw Groundhog Day in there?
Groundhog Day's 93.
Yeah, Groundhog Day came after that. I mean, because then after that, it's like, What About Bob, which is okay. Groundhog Day, Kingpin. Like, there's other movie, which is another Randy Quaid movie. That's the other thing. Randy Quaid acts the same in every movie. I feel like
crazy.
I just watched Independence Day after Bad Boys. I kind of went on a Will Smith kick, and so I watched Independence Day. Same character there, same kind of character in Kingpin. I mean, it's the same kind of acting. And look,
I think he plays Bill Murray.
It fits. Yeah, he kind of does. It fits fine, but like, I mean, he's just kind of this weird sidekick that's in the background the whole time. It's just, I don't know. It just, I don't know. Gina Davis, I mean, I've never been a big Gina Davis fan, but it's a movie that exists.
Okay.
I now know it exists.
Tyler, what are some of the elements that you liked and disliked about Quick Change?
I really liked the humor in this movie. It was very dark at points, but then throughout the film, it almost felt like an episode of Seinfeld. Like everything's just continuously going wrong, whether they're lost or the car rolls away. Just they get into wacky mishaps the entire time, and that was funny. I love Bill Murray. I love Randy Quaid. Gina Davis is great too. I liked Kurtwood Smith popping up at the end. I really liked this movie, and I had no idea it existed until last week.
That has been established. None of us had any idea that this movie is something that happened, and Rockstar brought it to our attention when it got pulled out of the bucket. My genuine reaction was, is that a real movie? I've never heard of this.
I will say that to the cameo, there's like a lot of, I don't guess you call it cameos, I mean, they're actual roles, but there are a lot of like random decent names.
Phil Hartman,
Stanley Tucci. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of his friends like, oh.
No, we wait until we get to my turn, and then John takes my number one point, which is the thing I liked most was the heat checks in this movie, because you have bit roles such as Phil Hartman as Mr. Edison, Tony Shalhoub as the cab driver, and Stanley Tucci as Johnny. And all three of those end up becoming, much more prolific in their work throughout the years. Phil Hartman's life obviously cut very short, tragically, but every time he's been on screen, he just has a presence about him that draws people to his performances. I think the makeup in the movie, the clown makeup, is really good.
Yeah.
I think you've got to get that right in order to... I think that's actually the vehicle that makes you empathize with Bill Murray's character, is the makeup itself. It has to be some sort of connective tissue to make you have intrigue about that guy. And I did, even from the subway on. The mix of seriousness and lightheartedness, I think, is actually a pretty good blend in this. Even though one of my complaints is I don't think it's an especially funny movie. I didn't find myself laughing a lot along with the characters and the mishaps on screen.
I'm the same.
But I think the mix of tone was fine. It's a weird sort of criticism here. And I love anytime you have sort of like old school police vehicles flocking to a scene in a vehicle. I mean, in a situation, I should say, and in a movie. And this has that. And I really like that. I love that they actually brought a monster truck in and they actually met the demands of
Helicopter with no pilot.
the bank guys. It's crazy. Things I wasn't wild about, the actual situations that the characters find themselves in and the flow of the story. The stakes, there never really feels to me like there's much real danger on the screen. I don't know. There's definitely situations they find themselves in where they're having guns drawn on them and stuff, but I guess the way Bill Murray approaches it, and Bill Murray himself, I'm just not a huge Bill Murray fan, but it's very much like, oh, there's no way I'm going to die. I'm just going to talk myself out of it. That's sort of his hook. I didn't find it to be especially funny, but I'd love to hear more from you, Rockstar, with it being your choice. You get the final word on the impact of Quick Change.
Little moments. I have, and you would think I've seen this movie the way I talk about it 30 times. I have not, but little moments that I remember: the Hispanic bicycle jousting, just random.
That was
That was very random.
Random, and the little kid ringing the bell. I laugh every time because it's so random because they're asking him directions to the airport.
It felt like the Anchorman alley fight a little
I mean,
bit.
it's just like we got to put something here, and someone's like, "What about two guys shirtless jousting with shovels and a pitchfork or whatever?" That the old woman selling flores for los muertos in the alley. The scene where Andy Quaid jumps out of the cab. I know this, and I was watching it with my wife Sunday just to read. I haven't seen it in over 15 years. I knew that when the Asian guy in the market is on the phone with the police going, "Yes, a dead man!" 3882. I knew that exact number. I know the exact number. I love Tony Shalhoub's character. I love Bill Murray's one-liners where the negotiator says, "At least give me the women. Get your own women." But just stuff like that. I love that movie, and I don't think it's not like laugh out loud, but
Right.
it's lighthearted where it's just, and Bill Murray's character always is the cocky guy, always the cocky smartass. Every film except for like What About Bob, he is a cocky smartass. He plays Bill Murray, but I just love this movie, and I didn't have. I mean, I watched it when I was young. Did y'all have it figured out what was going to happen with the opening scene? Once he enters the bank and you see Randy Quaid and Gina Davis. That
I didn't realize that was them because Gina Davis with blonde hair. I'm used to her having red hair, and then Randy Quaid with like the big bushy beard.
Yeah.
Until they went into the vault, and then they were standing more upright, and it was kind of more they're the big actors. I assume they're part of it.
Again, I love the security guard when he's being interrogated by the police bike, and then he pulled out a knife, and I hate knives, but I got him down. He's just he's embellishing the story. When Bill Murray's character comes out of the bank with Gina Davis, and he's that awful whiny character. He's like, "Was there bombs?" It's everywhere. He said, "Up your butt with a coconut," and I think he was prepared to do it. Just stuff like that, where you can tell that was ad-libbed. I liked it. I'm
See,
sorry.
The small stuff like that is why Bill Murray is a great like fourth or fifth person in a movie, not the leading person, because that stuff still works. But like when you think of every other movie he's in, he is always like, I mean, probably one of my favorite Bill Murray movies is a movie like Caddyshack, where he also is a very different person than that. But like, it's the little tiny, he just comes in almost like for an interlude of the story, and that's where he's funny. But being the main guy the entire time and trying to carry the whole thing, well, then that's like, okay,
a perfect
I don't
example
really
is Little Shop of Horrors, which Tim hated that part.
I did.
With Bill Murray.
You can go back and watch our retro trailer reaction there. Quick Change was filmed and set in New York City. Not sure it did a lot for the tourism industry there.
They made the whole place look like Skid. The way they portrayed Skid Row in Little Shop of Horrors, all of New York City is that way. It's like, God, they're in all the worst parts of New York City.
God, I hate this town.
Quick Change is the second adaptation of the novel of the same name. The first was the 1985 Canadian film Hold Up. I don't know if you've ever seen that or how it would hold up all these years later. Oof. The film has controversially popped up in discussion in recent years As described in her 2022 memoir, Dying of Politeness, Gina Davis claimed that Bill Murray sexually harassed her during the first meeting for the film by insisting on using an electric massage device on her despite her repeatedly telling him to stop. She said that he also screamed at her for being late during filming. Quick Change was theatrically released in the United States on July 13th, 1990. It opened up in 7th place and was considered a box office bomb, grossing $15.3 million worldwide against a budget of $17 million. But it received mostly positive reviews, complimenting Murray's performance and humor. On that weekend, the number one movie, Die Hard 2. It was in its second weekend in first place at $14.5 million that weekend. And Ghost opened up in week one in second place with $12.2 million. Dick Tracy made more than Murray's movie did, and it was in week 5 at the time. So that's what you have to know about Quick Change. Is this a movie that you appreciate all these years later? Please let us know in the comment section below, and make sure you look at our title sponsor, John, a place where you can make some quick change at MyBookie.
Go to mybookie.ag. Promo code next round right there. You get a little extra change when you use that promo code. Get a first deposit bonus on us. You can play in the sportsbook, play in the casino, the live casino, real live cards dealt by real live dealers. You can go and play there. To get that little bit of extra change, go to mybookie.ag. Promo code next round.
Season 1 of our Retro Trailer Reaction series continues on. Make sure you subscribe here to The Meltdown so you don't miss a minute, as we'll have another entry for you next week.